Hi guys. So I thought we'd do a little bit of a different kind of video today. I don't know, it might be super cringe. Actually, it probably will be, but I'm bored and if you clicked on this, clearly so are you. So, yeah. So everybody, well not everybody, like anyone who's ever like watched my videos or like knows like what I post is like I do a lot of like manga reviews, like TV show, movie reviews, like that kind of stuff. And like I do that because that really interests me, but also because I like writing. And yeah, one thing I don't think I mentioned before is that like I actually have written like my own books. I've published three so far. And they're self-published through like Amazon's direct publishing partnership program. It's not like from a traditional publishing house. I wish. Anyway, and if you guys are a little bit more interesting about like self-publishing or anything like that, maybe we could do a video on that where I kind of just tell you what I know and also about trying to get traditionally published because I did go through that route before I decided to self-publish, and obviously it's, I would say, way more difficult, obviously, and it's like much more selective. The great thing about self-publishing is that it basically nowadays anyone can do it, and it's like you can go on Amazon and buy my book made by me, written by me, like for the most part edited by me. So like that's the really cool part of the self-publishing, is that it takes away like the gatekeeping a little bit, for better or for worse. Um, anyway, and my books are not amazing. They're not like brilliance or anything like that, but I did work hard on them and I enjoy them, and writing is always going to be something that I like to do and want to do, so I figured that I would share a little bit of that with you guys. So I wanted to kind of do a read along. I'm not sure if I'm going to like maybe just read a couple chapters and then stop, but I thought this would be a fun way to try to just share this with you guys, and also maybe give you like an idea of what the book is actually like, so that if maybe you are really interested in it, or you think that I have some shred of talent as a writer and you want to support me, maybe you could go um, buy it on Amazon. Of course, that's only if you want to, and it's like not a big deal, obviously, like either way. This is mostly just gonna be for fun. Like, so yeah, so I've written three books, and this is the first one I published back in 2018, I believe. I have it in here. Yeah, March 2018 is when I published. So this is called Stars, and it was my first novel, and I write under the pen name Daniel Stone, and later I changed it to be Daniel Aaron Stone because there was another author with the pen name Daniel Stone. So like, and his books would come up first, so I was like, you know what, to like make myself different, I'm gonna like add a middle name, and I didn't start that till like the third book. So this is called Stars, and this is the first one I wrote. It's a adventure fantasy story. I can read you the blurb if you want. Kind of cringy, but Stars is the adventure of a girl in a dream. Maddie Prescon of the planet Query dreams of a life more than her safe, protected life in the countryside. She wants to become a warrior known as a star and leave her old life behind. Her quest is full of peril as she begins to doubt everything she previously believed, begins to doubt who she even is. Will Maddie be able to make her dream a reality, or will reality show her that dreams are an ideal better left for your pillow? So that's the kind of idea. This girl in a vaguely fantasy sci-fi world, but still mostly grounded, goes on a quest and leaves her home. So I figured we could just read the first chapter or two. It actually starts with like a prologue, and then I don't know, it could just be something fun. And yeah, so I think it might be fun. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so Stars, The Tale of a Dream, that's really cringy, by Daniel Stone. And then it's dedicated to all the dreamers who feel unheard. And then we have the table of contents, and we're just going to go right in. Prologue. You ready? I flinched in surprise at the loud, brash voice. It hurt my ears a little, but I had grown mostly numb. One could not be friends with Sid DeLorean and keep all their hearing intact. I glanced over at the doorway where he was. His hand slammed on the side of the door frame, a thrilled smile stretching his face. You kidding? I replied with a warm smile, swiftly standing from my place at the dining table. I've been waiting all week for this. I started to jog over to the door, feeling eager. Mr. Riaboning. He was supposed to be a genius. More talent held in one finger than in most Keymasters' entire bodies. I turned my head back as my mother called, "Don't forget your bag," from the kitchen. "Yes, Mom," I shouted in return, feeling annoyed. She could be so micromanaging. I wasn't going to forget. She didn't trust me with anything. I snatched my sable pack full of tonight's dinner. Sid waited for me in the prim wooden doorframe. He was about my height, had slightly longer sable hair that curled around his ears. "So, ready to see Mr. Riaboning?" I questioned with a slight smile, slipping the stringed bag over my broad shoulder. "I was born ready," Sid retorted confidently, wearing a brash smirk. I chuckled and gave a slight roll of my eyes. He said that before every new instructor. "We'll see about that after Mr. Riaboning makes you run like 3 laps, I teased. With a chuckle, he shoved me to the left playfully. Grinning, I caught myself, avoiding a hard tumble into the front yard's bluegrass. We wandered through my expansive front yard swiftly. The grass stalks around us shifted slightly in the wind. The breeze cooled my face comfortably. The old Horace tree in the front casted a strong shadow along the yard. The sun caused me to instantly warm. The tree's shadow sheltered the grave of, I remembered wistfully, my old dog. "Yo, Sid! Alexander!" I startled at the voice from above. I glanced up and saw my friend and teammate hovering up in the pink sky. "Oh, hey, Bricks," I called, waving. He was about 20 feet up in the air. He lowered down carefully before landing in front of us. "Hi, Benny," Sid offered with a big wave exuding friendliness, to Brix's younger brother, who stayed up in the sky, also floating, shyly looking away from us. "How you doing?" I asked him. Brix smiled and opened his mouth, ready to reply. "Later," Sid interrupted us, the birds nearby, and honestly probably everyone in a 30-mile radius. I flinched with an annoyed expression. Thank moons we lived in the country. He was so loud. "What do you mean later?" I asked, perturbed. Did he mind? He teased, wearing a cocky smirk. "You two don't stop once you start. You're like 2 old women talking about their children." Me and Brix scowled, and I retorted, "Better than you. You're like a child who was dropped too many times as an infant." Brix snickered harshly, and Sid laughed too. Not arguing there. With a slightly pleased smile on my face, I shrugged and jumped up with a powerful push from my legs. I did not fall back to the hard ground, but rather lifted vertically through the air. Wind rustling my hair, feeling nothing under my feet, I came up beside Benny, who looked at me dubiously. Shy kid. I hope he'd grow less timid with age. I hovered there for a second as Sid and Brix effortlessly flew up to us. Sid was right. I begrudgingly accepted. We could catch up later. "Before you start asking questions, let me clarify." Sorry. I'm Alexander Prescon, a Quarren, native of the planet Query. I have navy blue skin, black perfectly rounded fingernails, purple blood, along with a thick head of black hair. I'm currently wearing the thin training clothes of any star in training, some Vexon gray pants and matching shirt. If you are confused to how I am flying, let me tell you I've been training my whole life. Different masters, varying techniques, but learning to fly has been the coolest and most useful by far. It wasn't easy though. It took years of work. I can do it through a process called Kinaboa, a process in which you harvest your ki, your very life essence, to do extraordinary, otherwise impossible things. Fly, shoot energy spheres, heal wounds, everything. We were about to take off when I heard a shrill, "Hey, wait!" from below. Everyone halted their half-begun drift towards the east. I turned my eyes down to the yard with interest. Running across our blue grass in a cute pink dress was my little sister, Maddie. She had ran after us. She had a cute small bag in her grip. What was she doing out here? "Maddie, what is it?" I asked, turning and lowering down so the little girl didn't have to shout. I," she stuttered as I landed in front of her. She was fidgeting, eyes flickering between me and the ground. Alex, Maddie, come on, we're wasting daylight," Sid commented from up in the sky. He wasn't an overly very patient person. I want to go with, she blurted, looking up at me. Huh? I thought and responded, do you mean to Mr. Rhea Bonnings? Yes, she returned, courage becoming final in her black eyes. I blinked widely and we all soaked in her meaning a moment. Sid and Brix burst out laughing from above us. I felt a smile trace over my lips, more over their reaction than her statement. They just couldn't help themselves, could they? What's funny? She questioned, cocking her head to the side. How do you even intend to come? Sid asked from the air, still laughing. You can't even fly. What if you could carry me? She retorted in a voice that made my heart warm. Maddie, I said gently, crossing an arm over my chest so its hand could hold my other elbow. You're too young to come. She frowned and pointed up at Benny in the sky. Benny's my age and he's gonna go. But he's a guy, Brix put in, grinning. She frowned. What does that have to do with anything? She asked with a perplexed expression on her round face. I smiled again as Sid commented, Alexander, is she serious right now? I chuckled and, projecting my voice up, informed, I'll handle this okay. I could go without the helpful comments. Sid shrugged innocently and Brix snickered. I squatted down so I could be at the same height as my sister. Her large jet eyes stared at me wonderingly, her long sable hair cascaded down her shoulders. Making my tone strong but not harsh, I said, You can't come because you're a girl. Her eyes grew wide, confused. Women are meant to live peaceful, happy lives with their children at home, not train, I continued. She just ogled me, lost. But I don't understand, she voiced distress. You will one day, I reassured her. One day. For now, just go inside and help Mom with dinner. But Alex, no buts, go now, I ordered with abrupt sternness, standing up tall. I wouldn't have such silly arguments. She drooped her head and turned slowly, beginning to trudge back inside. I felt a tinge of guilt and reached up to the back of my neck to try and scratch it away. She just didn't know any better. Hey, I called calmly. She halted and looked back over her shoulder forlornly. But when I get home, we can play Toboke together. Okay? I offered, smiling. A grin sprouted across her lips, cheered up by the mention of her favorite card game. Okay, she shouted, and then she scampered off to the house, with the unopened bag bouncing in her tight little girl grip. I nodded before lifting up, turning my gaze to my friends as I joined them in the air. Okay, so that was the prologue, and I think we're going to go ahead and read chapter 1, too, because it's not very long. Chapter 1, Awesome Power. I tensed my body and held everything inside. Inside me, two mighty beasts fought, battling till they changed targets, making a temporary alliance to escape their prison of flesh instead. They started to pound on the walls viciously to get out. I gritted my teeth and tensed tighter. Come on, I thought, but I couldn't hold them, so I released. A shockwave left my body with a whoosh. It proceeded through my skin to the outside, and even though it was my own energy, it stung a little. Whoa, I heard someone exclaim. I flickered my eyes open, which I had closed for concentration reasons. You nearly took my head off, Benny shouted from his ducking position near the ground. My eyes looked to the Horus tree behind him. It was smoking, with all the bark in the section where Benny's head would have been gone. Whoa, I thought in shock a moment. Sorry, I said, not sure what else to say. What are you doing? He asked, straightening up, now very interested in whatever I was up to. It was Benny. He got over things easily. We were different in that respect. Why should I tell you? I snapped. It's not like we're friends. He physically flinched away. Who says words don't hurt? And asked with apologetic undertones, You're still mad about that? Why wouldn't I be? I replied, placing my hands confrontationally on my hips. 'Cause you're being unreasonable? And were you training yourself? He questioned, negating any punishment for his statement with a question. Well, someone has to, I responded bitterly, letting him get away with it. He sighed and was smart not to fight me on this. When we were younger, Benny and I were best friends. My mom discouraged it, but my father couldn't see the harm. But over the years, we've grown further apart. He always had to train with the big boys while I was stuck at home doing pointless chores. Maybe I envied him somewhat. Oh, hell with the maybe. I lived in jealousy. He had everything I ever wanted. A few months ago, I asked him to train me. Nothing too big, just wanted him to show me the basics, but he refused. Hence the reason for our one-sided feud. I'm the one who's still sore over it. It was such a little thing to ask in my mind, and I just wanted it so bad. And he just shot me down. Some friend you are, I thought forlornly. Well, whatever. Dinner's ready, he said with a frown, turning, getting ready to go back inside. Whatever, I spat, turning my back to him. I'm not even hungry. By the way, if you don't want to pop like a bubble, you should try breathing, he stated, before I heard him walk away. I blew air out my teeth, frustrated. Yeah, like I want your advice, I muttered under my breath. Taking my arms and bending them close to my chest, I tensed again. I flicked an eye open to make sure he was gone. Once the sound of footsteps diminished from within earshot. Confirming it, I closed it again and began to concentrate inward. As the war in my core began to grow too intense to handle, I took a breath. Just one. Just to see if it would work. The tension and the beast, the pain, all stopped. Replaced by a new feeling, raw, pure power, a rushing of an energy, strength that I had been grasping for a very long time. Life. Empowerment swirling and touching every part of me. I felt like conquering the whole world. No, not like I wanted to, but like I could. Just topple castles with a tap, blow armies away with touches, destroy anything, everything. With more inhales and exhales, the power stayed consistent, pulsing through every vein, becoming all I was. I could barely believe it. Just breathing. Such a simple thing I had overlooked. I raised my right arm, opening my eyes. I threw it forward like throwing a stone, but when I got to the end of its reach, I pulled my hand flat. My palm glowed red and a crimson sphere flew from it, with no sting at all. It flew through the air and bam, collided with a Horus and exploded. I shielded my eyes from the wood shards that flew out. Lowering my hand after the dust had cleared, my jaw fell open. I was staring at a tree with a giant scarred circle of black in its bark. Oh moons, I thought, glancing between my hands and the tree and awe. Did I just... Oh gosh. I would like to tell you I handled this well, but to be honest, I looked up at the sky and screamed, "This is awesome!" and then permanently disfigured about 10 more trees. I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop. Not with all this awesome power. Okay, so that is the prologue in the first chapter of Stars. I'm going to go ahead and link it in the description. I think I'll do a couple more episodes reading more chapters, and if you guys like really want them, I could technically just we could just do it until we finish the book. Anyway, and it's I admit it's pretty cringy. I mean I published this 2 years ago, but I actually started writing this in middle school was when I first came up with the idea, and basically wrote the first couple chapters. Of course, like when I went to like re-edit it like 2 years ago and like actually, you know, make it into like a book, I did like obviously like rewrite most of those chapters that I wrote in middle school, and you know, just like make them a little bit higher level, but it definitely still is pretty like elementary. I think my books get better as they go on, and there's like big improvements between them. But I do think the writing gets better in this as it goes on, although like I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with those chapters, but they're just kind of, I don't know, simple to me. But so yeah, if you're interested in the story of Maddie, once again, I mean, nothing has really happened yet except we met her and we kind of know her a little bit, and obviously the prologue, we kind of know that she, you know, by the way, if you didn't like get it, which I mean, you probably should have, but it's okay. I've heard, like, I've had, you know, some of my family members read it, and, like, some of them got right away that the prologue is from Alexander's point of view, who's their older brother, which she interacts with, like, more later, and that's why he refers to Maddie, like, obviously, like, the little girl is her, so it's in the past, and that's, like, Alexander, and then chapter 1 is Maddie currently in the present as, like, a bit of an older girl. So yeah, basically that's the book so far, and definitely I will probably make another episode, and if you're interested, I'm gonna link it, or if you have any questions about the story, or about how I wrote it, or how I self-published it, or literally anything, like, just tell me, and I'd be more than happy to, like, make a video on it, or, like, anything like that. Okay, so yep, that's all for now. If you made it here, wow, that's pretty incredible. So thank you for that. And yeah, this series might just be fun for like if you want to listen to like a story while you go on a walk, or kind of more like a podcast, since there's not exactly visual stuff going on. It's just like me reading um, the story. So yeah, that's great. And thanks if you made it this far, and I hope that you guys are all doing great and well. And if you're going through something difficult, that I hope that I know that it'll work out for you, and be strong. And I know that there's many people who love you, and God loves you, and you're His precious child. So just always remember that, and keep on fighting if you're struggling. But also know it's okay to take a little bit of a time to rest, and kind of just if you're like stressed out all the time, like you might need to like take a break and like relax, and like do some stuff that makes you happy, and not worry about like fulfilling every single expectation that you feel other people have put on you, or even you've put on yourself, because your health is like one of the most important things, and it's really hard for you to do anything even for other people when you are not taking care of yourself first. So I just hope all of you bunnies are okay. And yeah, so thanks for listening, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.